Hi everybody, this is Mike Freeman. I just wanted to say hello and greetings from sunny San Diego to all my friends at the WAIB. I wish I could be there in person with you, but this year it didn't work out that way, but hopefully it will next year. So I have a lot of people asking me, I've retired for 2.5 years now, hey Mike, how's retirement going for you? And I have to tell them, it's going great and it is full of surprises. I had a great time where I was golfing and doing a number of other things that you would typically expect to do in retirement. But about a year in, I had something unexpected happen. Something that wasn't quite in the retirement plan. I was out hiking with my dogs, going along a trail, crossed over a bridge and was just going down some stairs, and I don't know what happened. I really don't remember. I don't remember if I missed a step, if the dogs bolted in front of me, but something happened, and all of a sudden, I woke up on the other side of the staircase, laying down in the vegetation. And here's where I want everybody to count to 5. Ready? Everybody close your eyes. Let's count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how long it took me to become a quadriplegic. When I woke up on the other side of that staircase, I was looking up at the handrail, and I remember thinking, how did I get here? This is stupid. I'm going to get up and get going before anyone sees me. Well, I couldn't get up. So I decided, hey, I'm feeling kind of sleepy. I'll sleep on it and I'll figure it out when I wake up. And I went to sleep. What I didn't know is my dogs had bolted out of their collars and were making a lot of noise. And some golfers that were going over the bridge that I had just crossed saw me laying down there and called 911 and an ambulance came. What I remember is waking up in that ambulance on the way to the hospital. Some guy telling me his name and saying that we're going to Scripps Encinitas. So we got there. I was then put off to Scripps La Jolla, which has far better facilities for taking care of the kind of fall that I had had. And I spent the next 40 days there in intensive care. It was originally supposed to be 7 days or so, but it turned out to be 40. And it was quite an adventure. So I went in. I had some surgery done. I fractured my C3 vertebrae, which is pretty high up on the neck. A lot of people that have a C3 fracture can end up staying on ventilators for the rest of their lives. You can have limited, if any, use of your hands, your arms, maybe your legs, your torso. It's really a pretty tough situation to be in. But because of a lot of great people and a lot of great prayer, I've been able to progress beyond that. But anyways, in intensive care, I woke up from the surgery and was in intensive care. And then I was very surprised because I couldn't move my hands, my arms. I couldn't feel anything from my shoulders down. I was literally paralyzed from my shoulders down, couldn't move a thing. I'd put on about 40, 50 pounds of weight from fluid from the surgery, so I looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy. And I also had this tube going down my throat because it turns out when they laid me down to do the surgery, I stopped breathing. Figure that. So they did what they called intubated me, which is something you don't want to have happen to you. They put a tube down your throat and make sure that you keep breathing through a ventilator. Anyways, it all worked out. I woke up and then my journey has begun. And I was really in the state of shock for quite a while, trying to understand everything that had happened. And it wasn't for my family came alongside, friends and people in the industry, a lot of you did. I deeply appreciate that. But it was quite an adventure in that intensive care unit. So after about a week or so, I was being rolled back and forth because they do that to prevent bed sores. And they rolled me over a little bit to my side too much. And some fluid in my neck collapsed on my trachea, which caused me to choke. Now you have to remember, I have 3 hospital people taking care of me, rolling me around, and they're talking. I can't move my arms and legs to let them know if something's wrong. I have a tube going down my throat, so I can't speak. I'm trying to gently say, choking, probably about that loud. No one heard me, and so I choked out. My heart stopped beating for a few seconds. Last thing I remember, or the first thing I remember is, you know, when you wake up from a dream, it's kind of like, poof. Well, that's what I did. And there was a nurse on top of my chest giving me CPR. And she got my heart going, and I came back and I was just fine after that. But the adventures in intensive care continued. I got pneumonia. I guess that's not uncommon there. I got a UTI that got into sepsis, which can have a fatality rate of about 40 to 50%. I had all kinds of tubes going in and out. I had tubes going up my nose, down my throat, in my mouth, in my chest, in my stomach, in my private parts. I had bodily fluids going every which way with all the medicines and the PICC lines and everything else. And it really was not a good place to be. And of course, I think you would expect, I had to start fighting some depression and trying to figure out how am I going to get through this? Because the doctors were saying and telling my wife, he might be like this for the rest of his life. This might be as good as he gets. There's odds that say that that's a very good chance of that happening. There are also odds saying that I could get completely healed, and odds that said that somewhere in between. But I decided to, as I fought the depression, and this is where my faith really came in handy for me, I came up with a prayer, just said it over and over and over again, and I was having a hard time breathing because in a ventilator, think about breathing through a snorkel, and then think about someone drops a couple drops of water down that snorkel every now and then, just to kind of get you that gurgly sound. It makes it kind of a pain to breathe, but that's what it's like breathing through a ventilator. And I was on a ventilator for a total of about, I don't know, 2 months or so. And I remember just saying a prayer, just saying the only way to victory is to breathe like this, using the power of Jesus and his loving Holy Spirit, and taking a breath each time along the way. And I said that over and over and over, probably thousands of times, because the only thing I could do at that time was breathe. And every day that I have, I just thank God for being able to breathe, taking a breath, fresh air like that, something we do thousands of times every day and take it for granted. But I really appreciate that. So I went through all that in intensive care. When you're in intensive care and you're on a food tube, you can't drink anything. So I went 55 days, I believe, with no food, never got hungry, but I really did get thirsty. And it's amazing what you end up getting thirsty for. I thought that ice cold beer would have been the best thing in the world for me, but I really got to the point at the end of 55 days that an ice cold glass of water with ice cubes in it is the thing I really craved the most. And so I still do. Every time I have a glass of ice cold water, I think about that, and I'm grateful for that too. In fact, you're grateful for a lot of things when you go through something like I have, things that you took for granted every day, but I'll get into that a little bit more later on. So after 40 days of intensive care at Scripps La Jolla, on March 17, 2020, I air freighted myself out on a medevac flight to Chicago to go to Shirley Ryan Ability Lab. They're the #1 rated rehab facility in the United States, and they specialize in spinal cord injury. Turns out by sheer coincidence, if you believe in coincidence, a good friend of mine, Rick Lieber, is the chief science officer there, and he was able to convince us that this was the place to come, and I thank God that he did do that. It really was an incredible place. When I got there, I was able to, remember I was paralyzed from the shoulders down, I was able to wiggle the toes on my left foot a little bit. I went through there for 4 months as an inpatient, 2 more months as an outpatient, doing some research. And when I left there, I was able to drive my own power chair. I was just at the beginning of being able to feed myself a little bit. I was free of all the tubes, free of all the equipment, just able to talk, try and go, a couple of months without talking. My wife really enjoyed that time of quiet and solitude. But anyways, it's not easy and it's not fun, especially when you have needs. And you can't express your needs with your hands or your arms. You have to get very creative about how you do that. But anyways, after that 6 months at Shirley Ryan, I made it home to San Diego, where I was able to find some outstanding people to help me with my caregiving and to also help me with my rehabilitation. And I have been hitting that hard. I'm working out 2 to 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. Have been doing that. There is a window when you're quadriplegic of recovery. They say the best time is the first 6 months, maybe the first 12 months. Then that's been extended out to 24 months. I firmly believe, because I've talked to and have worked and done rehab alongside of people that have been in wheelchairs for 14, 15 years or more, that the window is unlimited as long as you keep working hard. It gets harder to get the really big wins, but I'm a year and a half in now, and I continue to improve. And so with all the prayers of friends and family and all the support and all the help, I will continue to improve. My goal is to be walking, and to be walking soon, really soon. It can't be too soon. Walking could be with a walker, with the crutches, with a cane, but eventually with nothing but just Mikey walking by himself, and to get back into that. Behind me you see my swimming pool. One of the hard things for me about becoming a quadriplegic is, you know, I grew up around water. I did swimming and water polo through high school and college, and spent my whole life around a pool or at the beach riding the waves. I have to learn how to swim all over again. So that's one of the things. I played piano for 55 years. Gonna have to learn how to play the piano again all over again. So when people say, well, isn't that hard? I said, yeah, it's hard, but when you go through what I've gone through, you really learn a couple key lessons, and that's one of the things I want to share with you really quick. One is gratitude. You gain a gratitude for all the things. You know, they say you're only as good as your health. It's true. I can tell you that from personal experience that if you got your health, if you got good health, do everything you can to protect that. There's no guarantees, you know, look what happened to me. But there's been a great refining process that's gone on with me that has, I think, made me a much better person. But if you got your health, you got a lot of good things going. And so I am grateful for the health that I have. I'm grateful for the health that I'm going to gain, because I can think it's going to get better. I'm optimistic about that. I'm grateful for, like I said, every breath of fresh air. I'm grateful for being able to speak to you, just being able to talk and communicate, to be able to travel to some degree. I'm grateful for being able to eat real food, 55 days on a food tube. Whew. You know, everything, all that goo is all the same. And I try and make sure, well, that's a steak dinner, yeah, right. Well, here comes a cheeseburger, yeah, right. You know, you don't know what's going. You don't get hungry, but you don't taste anything. It gets pretty boring. I also want to learn how to become more self-sufficient. Things that you guys, all and gals, I guess you can't say guys and gals anymore, things that you, beautiful, wonderful ladies and gentlemen, take for granted and probably even resent doing sometimes, like anything to do with being self-sufficient and personal hygiene. You know, I'm grateful for being able to try to do that. That's something I will be grateful when I can become completely self-sufficient in a lot of things, eating, and which I'm getting close to, but also taking care of myself, not having to rely 100% on other people, because right now I pretty much have had to do that for this last year and a half. And I'll tell you what, you want a good lesson in humility and being humble, be 100% reliant on other people. I mean 100% reliant on everybody. It's really an incredible experience. Makes you appreciate people a lot more, teaches you patience, teaches you humility, but also teaches you to be grateful for just being able to do all the things where you don't have to be dependent upon other people, and you can just do it yourself. So that's another little things that I celebrate, are things that you guys are doing every day. And I think that's kind of cool. I wish I do have this weird thought that I wish everybody to be a quadriplegic for 24 to 48 hours, because I think it would change your perspective for life forever for the better, because you would understand how many great things we have going around in our lives, how many great blessings we have in our lives happening to us each and every day that we just take for granted or don't even think about. And it's human nature. We all do it. I did it. So I'd like to encourage everybody, take a look around and just be grateful. Look at the people in the room that are here with you now. Be grateful for those friendships and for those great things that you guys have done and worked on together, and being a part of a wonderful industry. I would, be grateful for that. Because if you can learn to be grateful, and I'll tell you one thing I'm going to be really grateful for, is I haven't been able to scratch my face in a year and a half. Do you know how many itches you get on your face in a year and a half? And I can't scratch them on my own. I'm almost there. Oh, almost close, getting close, maybe next week. I can't wait. I can't wait just to scratch my face. And a lot of you are probably doing that right now as you are listening to me. I'd kill to be able to do that. But it's coming, and I know that. So I can be grateful for that, and I can be optimistic at the same time. So being grateful, being optimistic about the future. If I can be grateful about everything, and I'm grateful for everything that I've had and everything that's happened to me in my life. I've got a wonderful wife, Deanne. The children have been great. Neighbors have been incredible. People at WD-40, people in the industry, high school friends, old neighbors. I mean, I've had a ton of people that have been rooting for me and encouraged me all along the way. And it's really that has really helped me keep going. So I have a Caring Bridge site, Michael Freeman. You can come in, take a look at it. It's been going on. I update it about once every couple of weeks now. And if you want to see how I'm doing or encourage me along the way, feel free to join in on the crowd. It's quite a party. So anyways, if you're grateful about things, then you can be optimistic about things and be optimistic about the future. And I'm very optimistic about the future. I think there's a lot of good things that I cannot see coming yet that will come from this. And I look forward to the adventure of going through all of that. So being grateful, being optimistic is really important. Another thing that I've known, but I really understand now is it's not about me. You know what? Life never was. Life doesn't owe us another day of life. No one owes you another day of life. Life isn't fair. Life isn't just. Life isn't always meant to be full of just happiness. I'm not sounding like a Debbie Downer here, but I've realized that it's the struggles is where we learn the most and where we really get to refine the best. And we should be grateful when life is all those wonderful things I just mentioned, when it is fun and when it is fair and when it is just and it is good. We should be so appreciative of that, and instead of being disappointed when it's not. But anyway, so I would encourage people to get involved with something that's bigger than themselves, because if it's make your life be all about you, you're going to be disappointed, I think, at the end of it. If you make it being involved with things that are bigger than yourselves, then I think that's wonderful. And the fact that you're here at the WAIB meeting says you're getting involved in something that's bigger than yourself. And I want to encourage you in that effort. I want to encourage the association to keep fighting the fight that it's doing, to do all the great things that it's doing, because I think it's important. I think it's meaningful. I think it brings a lot of benefit, not just to the people in the industry, but to all of our consumers that use the products that are aerosol-based products. So anyways, be gracious, be full of gratitude, optimism. Don't make it be about yourself. But there's one thing that Steve wanted me to talk about, and it's really about a life purpose statement. And I'm going to bring this home, folks. I'm going to really try and bring it home for you, okay? So hang in there with me. No, it's called a life purpose statement. And basically what it is just, I've used it. I had one for a long time, for a couple decades. Just, you know, why am I here? That's really the question you're trying to answer. Why am I here? What's my purpose? So I came up with a life purpose statement. And I had one, but it only meant something to me. It was hard to explain to other people, for the few people that asked about it. And it wasn't really very useful. But I came up with a purpose statement finally, about 10 years ago, as part of the MSEL program that Pat and Pete have also been through. Hi guys. And my life purpose statement is this, and I want to share it with you. I want to share it with you so that you can see how I use it. I use it for doing a couple of things. One is it gives me clarity about why I'm here and what I want to do with the remainder of my life. I'm 68, so I got some runway in front of me, but most of my runway is behind me. And so I want to make sure that I do the best things that I can do and make sure that it's not all about me and that I do have that life of gratitude and optimism. So the life purpose statement helps me with that. It also helps me making decisions, and I'll explain how that works, because I think that might be something that might be relevant, not only to you personally if you decide to do a life purpose statement, but also as an industry. So here it goes. Everybody ready? My life purpose, impacting and being impacted by others to fully discover God's purpose and plan, resulting in lives that are productive, satisfying, and fruitful. That's it, one sentence. And let me unpack that for you, and then you'll see how it works for me. Impacting and being impacted by others. I'm at my best when I'm impacting others or being impacted by them. Even better, impacting others and being impacted by them. And I hope that's what's happening at the WAIB meetings. Impacting and being impacted by others. When I'm doing that, I'm feeling like I'm doing meaningful work. I feel like I'm doing something that has purpose, that has a result to it that will be meaningful to me and hopefully to many others. So impacting and being impacted by others to fully discover God's purpose and plan. I like working with people to encourage them to find their full potential. I say God-given purpose and plan. I believe we're all created uniquely. God has a unique plan for each one of us, and the adventure of life is to go out and find what that God purpose is for us and to do it, that God-given plan for us, and to do it. And if we do that, that'll be better than anything we could possibly come up with for ourselves, especially if we don't make it be about me. So impacting and impacting others to fully discover God's purpose and plan, resulting in lives that are satisfying, which means I feel good about what I did. I can get at the end of my life and say, nailed it. You know, I did good. I did everything I wanted to do. It's satisfying, productive, meaning I did meaningful work. It's work that I and hopefully others have found value in, and I'm proud to have been done, and I'm proud to have done, especially if I've been given a unique set of gifts. And fruitful, and by fruitful I mean the fruit of the Spirit is talked about in the Bible, and that is doing things that result in love, joy, peace, gentleness, kindness, self-control, a whole number of great attributes like that from the Holy Spirit. And so that's my life purpose. So let me show you how I can now use it as a decision-making tool. I'm looking at doing things in retirement. One of the things I've learned in retirement is that a lot of people will ask you to do a lot of things because they figure you got lots of time. And one of the best pieces of advice I got from my brother-in-law was, your first year of retirement, say no to everything. Because he didn't. And he ended up being on more neighborhood associations, church boards, this and that. And it took him 2 or 3 years to unwind from a lot of stuff that he found out it sounded great to be a part of, but he wasn't really passionate about doing. So I use this as a filter now in my retirement to see if I want to get involved with something. So I ask my question, am I impacting others? And or am I being impacted by them? Am I growing? Am I changing? Am I evolving? Am I learning? Am I impacting others and being impacted by them? And is this activity helping us discover God's purpose and plan for us as individuals, us as a group, us as a country, as an organization, whatever? Is what I'm looking at doing that. So it gets me involved with a lot of mentoring of young men, young people early in their business careers, helping out with the military, doing some of the other things I've done in the past, working with the youth for 20 years at our church. So impacting and being impacted by others to fully discover God's purpose and plan, resulting in lives. And here's what I'm looking for, is the work that I'm doing, the work I'm doing with others, that I'm impacting and being impacted on and working to find the full potential of, is a result of that satisfying, is the result of that productive, meaningful work, is the result of that fruitful love, joy, peace, kindness, gentleness, goodness, and self-control. If it's doing all of that, then the answer is yes, I want to do whatever that is. If it's half of that, I'd probably go in with yellow flags and say maybe, maybe not. If it's not doing a lot of that, then I walk away from it. So I can use my life purpose statement as a way to decide what I'm going to do with my life and the activities that I want to do. So I would encourage you. I used to work with high schoolers, and what they used to do, you do with them is, if you can't do something like a life purpose statement, I said, just pretend that you have you have one sentence to put on your gravestone, your personal gravestone. What's that one sentence going to be? Well, he sold 1 billion cans of WD-40. Nah, I didn't do that, and I wouldn't put that on my gravestone if I did. What would it be? And in about 60 minutes, 90 minutes, it was surprisingly how strong and deep and great these high school kids could come up with. Here's the one sentence I would want to put on my tombstone. That's just another way to do it, another way to look at it. So if that's the life purpose statement, that's what it is. That's how it can be used to keep your vision straight, and also to help you make decisions and help explain to other people what you do and why you do it and what you're looking for as an outcome. So how does this apply to the WAIB? Well, I was reading over the website, and there's a lot of great things listed on the website about things that we do and endeavors that we take part in. But when I was looking for something like a vision statement, which would be the equivalent maybe of a life purpose statement, the best thing I think I saw was that we come together to educate our consumers, our members, and the regulatory agencies. And I think that's a noble thing to do, and it absolutely has to be done. But I was just going to challenge WAIB is, maybe we could energize that a little bit more. Maybe we could come up with a life purpose statement for the WAIB as an organization, or a vision statement, if you want to call it that, vision mission statement. And you could also, one that could be used to make decisions about what we're going to try to do as an organization. I think that would be incredible. You know, the WAIB, you know, promotes the aerosol package and industry through educating and advocating with consumers, with members, with the regulatory agencies. It's a powerful voice, doing things that other associations won't do, national and regional. And I think that is something that you should be proud of and continue in. And I think if we can come up with that kind of life purpose statement, vision statement for the WAIB, that is something that will help us not only make sure that we stay on a clear path of who we are, what we do, and why we do it, and what we expect, but that it would also help us make decisions. But it would also do another thing. It would also help explain to others, to the next wave of aerosol people, management, participants, creative geniuses, brilliant leaders, why they need to be a part of the WAIB. Because it would be something that would be motivating to them. Saying that we educate a lot of audiences is a very true and a very honest statement, and it's very necessary. But can we, with integrity and full truthfulness, can we come up with something that might be stronger than that can be used to maintain our focus, make our decisions, and attract new talent into the aerosol industry and into the WAIB. I'm 68. I know a lot of you out there aren't that far off from my age. And so we got to make sure we're bringing along this next wave of leaders behind us, and the wave even up behind them. And I think that's the most important thing that we can do as an industry, maybe this next year or two or three.